All right, gang, so we're gonna get going. My goal for the day is to try to, alleviate any myths or concerns and answer your questions when it comes to nutrition. I'm gonna take you through sort of my belief system on nutrition and what's worked with everybody that I've worked with. And hopefully you'll get some really good nuggets. And the goal is for you to leave with a blueprint for what you need to do to be successful. So I have it broken down into a sort of a 4-step process that we'll get into at the end. But we're gonna go through, number one, where I like to start is why we're fat. And when I say we, I'm talking about America, okay? 90% obesity rate, right? Diabetes at an all-time high, heart disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, right? Why it's at an all-time high, why we have a 90% obesity rate in the United States. And when we think about that and when we see that, usually we think that that's everybody else, but usually it's all of us, right? We're going to talk about the SAD diet, and yes, that's what it's called. Blood sugar, myths and lies, food groups, proteins, fats, carbs, meal timing, food labels, everything you need to kind of get going. We're going to talk about our 4 steps to success. We're going to talk about identifying your goals, what you want to do, quality and quantity, macronutrients. I'm trying to lay it all out for you here today. So what I'm going to start with is what we were all taught. Most of us, right? Everybody remember this? Silly pyramid, right? So you know this was called the Standard American Diet, aka the SAD diet, and it is sad. Okay? It is sad. Over the last 100 years, but really in the 50s, 60s, 70s, a big shift happened in the food industry, right? We had way too many people and not enough food, and we went away from farming and we went into industrialized food, right? So the government, being the awesome people that they are, tried to figure out how can we have business and try to get people into eating food and not farming as much as anymore, and so they came up with this SAD diet. Okay, because we wanted wheat and grain to sell, okay, because we grow a lot of it. So, see at the bottom, whoever followed this, 6 to 11 servings of bread and pasta, right? 2 to 4 of fruit, 3 to 5 of veggies, right? Get some milk and cheese in there, meat and poultry, and then sparingly on your fats and sugars, right? So, this is just wrong from top to bottom and bottom to top. Now, what's wrong? Too many carbohydrates and processed foods, right? As we move towards this kind of big business of food, everything was put into a box, right? We started eating in front of the TV, and we still see that true today, but it's actually interesting. Now we're sort of reverting back, right? There's a lot more information today about, shopping organic and eating your meals and staying green and getting away from the processed foods. But I know I kind of fell into, as I grew up, my mom didn't know that it was bad, right? They sold food at a store that sold food, so she assumed it was food, right? There was a kid on the package of the chicken nuggets, so right, well, a lot of us didn't stop and ask, wait a minute, is this what's going on here, right? So, carbohydrates are not bad. Your body absolutely needs them, and we're going to talk about this later. But when we eat too many of them, they get stored as body fat, okay? And we get put on what's called the blood sugar roller coaster. When we talk about processed foods, that's things that man puts his hands on and creates and puts into a box. There wasn't enough protein on this. Protein, we're barely having enough of it, 2 to 3 servings a day. That should be 5 to 6 servings a day at every single meal. Shows fats as evil. Absolutely not true, right? When we went to this low-fat phase in the 80s, and what they did was they just replaced fats with sugars, thinking that everyone was going to get skinny, and fat's the devil. What actually happened since then is the diabetes is through the roof, and obesity is at all time. So a low-fat diet is not the answer, right? And there's no guidance on meal timing or eating for your goals. And who eats all this food, right? So this is what we were taught. So we're going to say we have to reverse our thinking. And a lot of times the stuff that I still have people ask, are eggs bad for you, right? What was the other one? Someone just asked me the other day. Oh, about milk is to get strong bones. That's not true. Milk does not. We're the only animal that drinks milk from a different animal, different species. We shouldn't be doing that. It doesn't really benefit you, right? So blood sugar. What I always like to talk about, and what I think about, is keeping a balanced sugar, blood sugar throughout the day. When we go through these spikes, this is the cause for like all of our problems. What this leads to is inflammation. Inflammation is the cause of like every disease that there is, okay? So let's talk about what this looks like and how this usually happens and what's happening inside of your body on a daily basis if we're not sticking to whole foods. So usually, how do we start off? We start off in the morning, maybe a coffee with sugar and cream, right? A donut, maybe some kind of bread, a bagel, some kind of fast food, some kind of Starbucks. What happens is your blood sugar spikes. So let me explain what that means. When we eat sugar, our body releases insulin. Insulin goes into your bloodstream and it says, well, you can keep some of the sugar now, you need it for a little bit of energy, but the rest of it, let me go ahead and grab that, and I'm going to take the sugar, and I'm going to store it and convert it into glycogen and put it into your liver, and then your liver's going to turn it into body fat. Because I'm so smart as your body, I want to keep you alive. One day, when the food's not around, we're going to use that body fat for energy, but like we don't need it right now, so I'm just going to store it for you for later, right? So insulin gets released, and then it gets stored as body fat. And then what happens when the insulin goes out and grabs all the sugar and takes it out of your bloodstream, you're just at this high, and now it's all gone, and you crash back down. And then what does your brain and your body tell you to do? Have more sugar, right? So then we do the same thing, right? So now maybe, and I'm sure we have all experienced this. We start off the morning with that coffee, that donut, right? That blood sugar spikes. It gets stored as body fat. So most people are storing body fat first thing in the morning. First thing before they ever get their day going. So then we wonder why it's so difficult to lose body fat. It's usually happening before we even know it. Then we hit the crash. Then we may or may not have a mid-morning snack. I found most people don't, but we should have a mid-morning snack. But what are we going to do there? We're going to go to the vending machine. We're going to get not such a healthy option. And the same thing's going to happen, right? We're going to store that body fat. Blood sugar is going to drop. We're going to crash again. We're going to hit lunch. Same thing's going to happen all the way through the day, 24 hours a day. And what the other piece of this is, when insulin is released, so is cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone. Your insulin being released and going out and grab that sugar is a stressor in your body, okay? When we have that cortisol released, your body will not lose weight, will not burn body fat. It does not happen. It's it's like flight or fight, right? So it's so focused on doing that, you're not gonna lose any weight, okay? So this is how it usually goes, right? We get the craving for the carbohydrates, then we eat them, then the blood sugar goes up, then the insulin comes out, then it drops, the blood sugar goes back down, we get the energy and the mood swings, and we usually confuse that with hunger, and then we eat to start the whole thing over, right? Your body is very smart. It knows what it's trying to do, it just we get confused by it, okay? So how do we avoid that? Instead of thinking about calories and about, there's a lot of different ways we can think about. Just think about maintaining a stable blood sugar, okay? Now, how do we do this? In the morning, when we wake up, we want to focus on protein. At every meal, we want to focus on protein. But we want to focus on protein, veggies, and slow digesting carbs. Who can name for me 2 slow digesting carbs? Anybody? Oatmeal, okay? Anything else? Doesn't have to be a breakfast food. Maybe some brown rice. Maybe some sprouted bread, right? Sweet potatoes, right? And we're going to go into detail on all that a little bit later. Now, why is this? So let's talk about carbs for a second. The fast digesting carbs, you want to think of it as processed. The way this really came home for me, the way that I thought about it when I was first learning about this was pretty much anything that man puts his hands on. We take the natural state of food and we strip it down to the simplest form. So that when your body takes that in, it just instantly goes into your bloodstream. Versus eating a sweet potato or a piece of rice that has to, when we eat it, because it has fiber in there, your body has to break that down. And so it releases slower out into your bloodstream, okay? And when it releases slower, we don't have that spike, and we have sustained energy. And we don't get those highs and those lows and then crashes, and your appetite just kind of stays maintained. So we want to try to stay in a healthy range between 80 and 120 on your blood sugar test. Now, anybody knows that, for folks that are diabetic, we're going way high and low on that, right? And when our blood sugar spikes, like I said, we store body fat. Okay? Now the same is true if we go too low on our blood sugar. If we go too low on our blood sugar because we skip a meal, we restrict our calories or carbs or exercise on an empty stomach, which is why we don't feel well if some of us exercise on an empty stomach, your blood sugar drops. What happens when our blood sugar drops? It's the opposite of this, which you might think is good, but it's not. Your body's going to actually burn muscle, okay? It's going to tap into your muscle for your energy source, and it's going to hold on to your body fat. You're going to have those energy crashes and your cravings increase. Now, why does it do this? Because your muscle is easier to break down than your body fat. So the trick is to keep it stable. What happens when we're stable? Our body releases fat, protects your lean muscle, eliminates your cravings, and increases your energy. Okay, so what we do, we focus on protein, veggies, and slow digesting carbs in the morning, focus on protein for a snack, and everybody should be eating at least 5 meals a day, 5 to 6, okay? Snack in between, because what are we doing? We're maintaining a healthy blood sugar. We're not going high or low. Lunch, focus on protein, veggies, and slow digesting carbs again. Afternoon snack, focused on protein. Now, dinner, protein, veggies, and a fat. Bedtime, protein, and a fat. Now, most of you, when you started with us, we gave you a meal plan that had this exactly laid out like this. Now, let me talk you through why. Carbs, we need them for energy. Your brain survives off of 2 things. Glycogen, sugar, carbs, okay, and oxygen. We need those 2 things to function, okay? And energy, carbs are energy. That's how you want to think about it. Your body uses them. So why do we want them in the morning and the afternoon? It's because your body, you're going to actually use that for energy. You're going to need that for your workouts, to get through your day, for your brain to work, to stay awake, to do your work, right, to do all that. We don't need them in the afternoon and the evening as much because you do not need energy to go to sleep, right? So we've all heard, and I'm going to talk about this later, you're not eating after 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock, right? It's not true, okay? I'll tell you, the way my day works, I get out of here, some nights almost 9 o'clock at night, and then I go home and I eat dinner, and then I also have my snack. It's pretty much all one thing. And then I go to bed right away. I'm doing just fine, okay? But that food is not heavy carbohydrates that are going to sit and turn into body fat, right? So when you're eating your carbohydrates, they're not bad. You need them. They're great. They're amazing. They help you build muscle. You absolutely need them. You want to think about that as energy. You want to think about your protein as, building muscle and maintaining that lean muscle mass. And then, of course, your veggies. We all need veggies for the nutrients, okay? Okay, why dieting doesn't work and other lies or myths that we sometimes believe or have been told. Calories in, calories out to lose weight. It just comes down to your calories. That's all you need to focus on your calories. That's it, okay? No. My question is, so 2,000 calories of ice cream, is that the same thing as 2,000 calories of broccoli? Right? So going to do the same thing for your body. So to an extent, calories will get you to a certain area. And now for those of you that do our body scans, if you lost 10 pounds, my first question is going to be, well, what'd you lose 10 pounds of? Did you lose 10 pounds of muscle, fat, water? What are we doing here, right? We want to maintain that muscle. So again, focus on blood sugar and not just the calories. Starve yourself to lose weight. Never worked for anybody ever, right? Because what did we talk about before? Yes, you may lose weight, but you're probably losing muscle, okay? Cardio and dieting are the best for weight loss. No, they're not. Just dieting alone without resistance training actually slows down your metabolism. If any of you have sat through our orientation that we do, we talk about how muscle is metabolically active, so we need more muscle. If all we do is cardio and diet, we're actually going to slow down our metabolism. Eating 6 meals a day turns up your metabolism and burns more calories. I wish this was true, but it's not, okay? You could eat all of your meals for the day in one sitting. Your body's going to process it the same way. You're probably going to be pretty uncomfortable for a while until you digest it, okay? But it's still the same amount of food coming in. But the reason that this works is because we're not going to let that blood sugar spike or get too low. We're not going to get tired and hungry, because when we get tired and hungry, we make not the great choices, right? And we're going to have a plan to know that, okay, I'm going to eat in 2 hours, in 3 hours. Okay, I got something coming up next. Keeps you on track. Talked about this, not eating after 7 o'clock, just not true. Eating carbs will make you fat. Going low carb is the best option. No, going moderate carbs, just not high carbs. If you broke down your diet, for most of us, we're gonna be 70-80% carbohydrates, okay? You don't need that much. We're not doing enough. We're not scavenging and walking around all day and trying to find food and killing, buffaloes and everything else that we used to do. We're mostly sitting down using our fingers, right? So how much energy do you need throughout the day? So carbs, again, are essential for muscle and energy production. Excessive carbs turn into fat. Low carb for long periods of time can actually hurt your metabolism, and you need cheat days to do some recomposition. So low carb works, but not in the long haul, because your body needs those carbohydrates. When you go too low for too long, your metabolism drops because there's a very important hormone called leptin, which maintains your metabolism, holds on to your lean muscle. So you don't want to go super low carb for a long time. Eating protein will make you bulky. If I eat those protein shakes, I'm gonna bulk up, right? No, you won't. It won't. Eating processed foods, fat-free foods, and carbs will make you bulky, right? AKA overweight, right? And low-fat diets help you lose fat. They don't, okay? They replace healthy fat with processed sugars and oils, making you gain even more weight, okay? So I bring this up with love because I've coached thousands of people at this point, and these are the things that I've heard, okay? Well, I eat pretty good. You probably don't, okay? But what we're gonna talk about is tracking your meals, right? And you don't know what you don't know, right? And this is said with love, what I've said this to many people. Oh, I eat pretty good, I don't really need a nutrition plan. Okay, so if we took off our shirts or got in a bathing suit and stood in front of a mirror, me versus you, which one would look like they knew what they were talking about when it came to nutrition or eating clean, right? And are you where you want to be? If the answer is no, then we need to clean up the diet a little bit. The thing is, this is nutrition and working out, it's harder than most people give it credit for, right? It takes time and it takes work. I don't have the time to meal prep, to eat, I'm too busy, I'm out running around. You have the time. If it's important to you, you'll make the time, right? I am busier than ever. We got the baby, we got the business. You can make it work. It's if it's important to you, right? I deserve a cheat meal. You usually don't, okay? The reason I say this is what I like to coach is, working out is not a punishment and food is not a reward, right? But that is not your fault if you believe that, because when you were a little kid, what did your mom tell you? If you're good, you get a cookie. Easter's coming up. You're going to get an Easter basket, right? And all of these big events are kind of built around food, right? I'll work hard today or eat. I'll work out extra hard today or eat less today. No, you just don't do that. You're a crazy person. You're not going to burn what you did in your workout from what you ate yesterday, right? It's over time. It's about doing it over time. I have a slow metabolism. No, you don't. There is no metabolism test. If you have a thyroid thing, okay, yes, but for the most part, you can try like heck to fight this. My body isn't built that way. How do you know unless you try? I was having this conversation earlier today. Well, if I could just, I'm big boned. If I'm 240 pounds, if I could just get down to like 220, I'd be happy. Would you really? No. Fight for it. Get down to the way you're supposed to be, right? I don't know how to cook. Well, you should probably learn. I love cooking. It's easy to do. I love it because it's very creative. It's a great outlet, right? And I get it. We're busy. We're home. You feel like, but when you do cook that meal, you do enjoy it, right? I don't know what to order. Okay, we'll help you out with that. I need my meals made for me. Awesome. There's this thing called the internet. People now deliver food to your house. It's really easy to do. You don't like logging your food. I get it. But do you hate it more than the way that you feel, right? I want to lose weight. You need a bigger reason than weight loss. I'm talking about the marshmallow test. Mastering self-control. This was a test they did where they actually followed these kids for their whole life. But the test was, you can have one marshmallow now, but if you wait, I forget, it's 20 minutes, 40 minutes, and stay in this room, when I come back, I'm gonna give you 2 marshmallows, okay? The kids that waited for the 2 marshmallows, they followed them all the way through high school, all the way through college, all the way through their whole life. They were way more successful. They got better grades, right? Because they were able to practice that self-control, okay? So when I say you need a bigger reason than just lose weight, when you're thinking about losing weight, you're thinking about the right now. You have to fall in love with the process of your nutrition, your workouts. Otherwise, when you hit that weight loss, it's not gonna mean that much to you. It's a piece of it, right? But it has to become a lifestyle for it to be attainable. The example there is, let's say, and we all know people like this, unfortunately. I want to be a lawyer when I grow up. I want to be an accountant when I grow up because I want to make a lot of money. Okay? So then I go to school and I go to college and I take all the tests and then I become an accountant and then I do it and I'm like, this isn't that great, but man, one day I'm going to have that money. We're going to retire. Like one day it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And then we turn around and we're 60 and we're like, man, I spent all that time worrying about being an accountant. I really like it just to get the money and now I'm here and like all that time was wasted, right? So it's about falling in love with what you do, and I'm happy to say that we are able to do that here with the gym, and I hope that for everybody, but it absolutely relates to what we're talking about today. They have to fall in love with the process. Right? You can make excuses and you can make a difference, but you can't make both. You know the worst part about excuses? They're usually legitimate, okay? They're reasons, right? But we have to find a way to make it around those, right? You can't make both. So let's talk about why you probably don't have a slow metabolism. 5 pounds of muscle burns 250 calories a day without doing anything at all. And I know some of you have heard this before, but it's a great reminder. So if I have 5 more pounds of muscle than you do, we can do the same workouts, we can eat the same food, we can live the same lifestyle. I'm going to lose more weight. Why? Because my body's working on burning muscle on its own, okay? And that's why cardio is not the best way to lose weight. Because when we're doing cardio alone, if our nutrition's not on point and we're starving ourselves and we're actually eating away at our muscle and holding on to that body fat, but the scale's moving, the scale's going down, yeah, but what are you losing, right? Like, I don't know what your goals are, but I don't want to look like a marathon runner. I mean, God bless them. But, skinny fat and not, right? And most of us don't, when we think about fitness, we don't usually think about that. So what can we do to increase our metabolism? We can probably pick things up and put them down and pick them up again and put them back down and build those muscles. And then when we talk about nutrition, that's why we want to think about fueling our muscles. Best thing you could do to lose weight. And again, you will not get bulky. The way to get bulky is eat a lot of food, a ton of carbs, and lift up really heavy stuff a lot. Okay, it's hard to do. I've tried it. It's not that fun. It's hard. Okay, fat does nothing. Fat burns 20 calories a day and just sits there, right?
Should be 25. Just saying. If 1 pound of fat burns 5 calories, 5 pounds of fat should burn 25.
Hey, there you go. Look at you studying those spreadsheets. I didn't make this. I stole it from the internet. But thank you. So let's break this down and talk about food groups. There's only 3. You got the proteins, you got the fats, you got the carbs, okay? Here are some examples of the foods we should be eating. And we really shouldn't stray too far outside of this, okay? There's only so many foods on the planet. So proteins, we're gonna run down the list. We got chicken, pretty much any animal, right? We got chicken, we got bison, we got venison, we got lean turkey, pork. I'm going to talk about pork and beef because we get questions on that. Can I get pork and beef? Yes. Pork tenderloin? Yep. Now pork butt? No. Smoked pork? No. I know it's good, but on occasion. Lean ground beef, so at least 93.7, right? The reason that beef gets a bad rap is because of all the fat that's in it and the high calories. Anything from the ocean, basically. Any white fish. And then the other question would go, well, what about salmon? I heard salmon's good for you. It is. If we're looking for weight loss and we're looking to for a lot of protein and less calories, whitefish is going to be your way to go. So cod, tilapia, mahi-mahi, halibut.
How about shrimp?
Shrimp? So the only thing with shrimp, a little high in cholesterol. But yeah, shrimp, scallops, lobster, go nuts, crab. Eggs and egg whites. Now, eggs are not bad for you. Egg whites are pure protein. What I recommend is to try egg whites. I know we don't all like them. You'll get a feeling for it. That's what hot sauce is for. But to at least start off, maybe you go, 2 whole eggs, 2 egg whites, right? Because yes, there are cholesterol and fat in egg yolks. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just anything in excess is in excess, right? But those are very important for muscle building. Cottage cheese, Greek yogurts, good old-fashioned protein powder, tuna fish, things like that. Okay? Fats. We all heard of healthy fats. They're absolutely essential. So you got, peanut butter, almond butter, your good oils, coconut oil, avocado oils, olive oil, grass-fed butter, avocados, any kind of nuts. Okay? And then we have our carbs. We kind of mentioned some of those. So here's some ideas. Sweet potato, red potatoes are good. Any beans, white or brown rice is fine. There's nothing wrong with white rice. Ezekiel bread or a sprouted bread. Bread gets a really bad rap too. It's because it's so processed. You should be able to, the second ingredient should not be sugar or corn syrup or something like that, okay? And we're going to talk about ingredient labels too. Oatmeal. I love oatmeal. Not with brown sugar and everything else in it, because remember, we're thinking about in the morning, we don't want to start our day off in that high blood sugar. Baked potatoes, quinoa, fruit. All fruits and veggies are carbohydrates, okay? Now, we don't always count them, and we're going to talk about logging our food. The nice part about fruit and veggies is they're like freebies. So what you can do for carbs, if you're ever counting your carbs, you actually subtract off the fiber, and then that's net carbs. So sometimes you'll see this on packaging, like so many net carbs. So yeah, go nuts with veggies. And of course, when we're going higher protein, we want to increase the veggies so we do get enough of that fiber. As far as finding, health foods, just Google it. There's a million different lists out there. What you're going to find is they're all going to have the same foods on them because there's only so many, good foods. So here's, I Googled this real quick, the Power 12, 50 healthy foods, look good, feel good. Now what are we finding on there? All real regular foods. So fruits, veggies, frozen berries, nuts and seeds, meat, fish and poultry, whole grains, eggs and dairy, your peanut butters, water, right? Extras would be like dark chocolate and little special stuff. So, and what we always teach is, if you can stick to this, if 80% of your diet is this stuff, the other 20% is not going to win, right? And if we do this, and then we take that a step further, do this Monday through Friday, and then the weekends we go do whatever we want. Good, you're doing great. And if we're working out 3-4 days a week, and we're not skipping weeks at a time, when we build that up over a week, a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year, that's how real change happens. Okay, meal timing based on your workouts. So I kind of built this around what we do here with either a morning or an afternoon workout. Waking up, just like we talked about before, protein and carbs. You could have a veggie in there too. Then we're going to work out, and then we're going to do a protein, carb, and a veggie after your workout. Now, why do we want to do this? We think about what we're taking away from ourselves in the workout. You want carbs and proteins before and after your workout because we want to refuel what we did, okay? There is a thing in your body called ATP, and it actually comes from carbohydrates. It's the actual energy that makes you be able to flex your muscles, okay? Glycogen and stuff gets stored in your muscles. That comes from carbohydrates. So when we work out, that goes away, okay? We use up that energy, so we want to replenish it. Why do we want to replenish it? The protein is going to help you rebuild the muscle, and the carb is going to rebuild the fuel in there and help those building blocks for your muscles. Then again, protein snack, carbs and veggies, protein snack, protein, veggies, and fat, proteins and fat. So as you can see, we always want to do those carbs in the morning and into lunch. If we're working out in the afternoon, what we could do is do a carb at dinner, but we're going to do it right after our workout. So I know before I said, not to have carbs at dinner. It depends though, right? If you're working out and you want to replenish it and you're really building your nutrition around your workouts, then it's not a bad idea to do this. Because of course, this is going to get used because we're replenishing what we did in our workout. Okay, let's talk nutrition labels. Before I go any further, does anybody have like a burning question of anything that I covered so far? Or am I just doing that great of a job?
Was the morning workout, was that like an extra, not like an extra meal, but
Yeah. And
sort of like an extra meal?
Right, so remember on that earlier thing, and I know we have this question a lot with folks that come in and work out in the morning. I don't like to eat in the morning. I get it, I don't want your workout I don't want you to be using muscle for your fuel while you're in here. Well, then I have to wake up earlier, or I get it, but like it's not a bad idea. And this could be as easy as just something, right? Half a protein shake and 2 bites of a banana. Just something, so then you're like, okay, well that's in my system. So then when I go to work out, that's what my body's gonna be using, right? Yeah, good question.
What are your thoughts on the protein bars?
Great question. All depends. I like Quest bars. Quest. They taste great, and you want to be able to know what the ingredients are. There's so many. I think Snickers had one out for a while. Like, you don't want that, right? Right? And what I'm always looking at, what we're going to talk about is, protein versus carbs, the ratio, right? And then everything else that's in there. So, you want to be able to read the ingredients, which we're going to talk about, like understand at least a little bit what they are. And supplements are great. We're going to talk about those. Protein powders are great. Bars are great. If you can, eat a whole meal. Right, like they're good in a pinch if you're on vacation, you're traveling. But I don't like having, more than 2 a day for more than 2 days, because it's not real. I mean, it's as good as it can get. So it depends is the answer. Yeah.
So what if you train, you have like 2 workouts, like a morning and an evening? How would you feel?
Same thing. Yeah. So like doing a run and then doing like a boot camp. Yeah. Yeah, but what we're going to talk about though is also like depending on what your goal is. So like if your goal is weight loss, you might not have that much carbohydrate. So it depends, right? Okay, nutrition labels. Step 1, look at the serving size. This is like, I'm serious though, right? It's tricky. On those, the thing I was bringing up is those oil sprays. The serving sizes of like your spray oil? It's like 0.00001 half of a pump, right? Because it will say like low in cholesterol and all that stuff is based off of the serving size, right? So low in cholesterol compared to what, right? So look at the serving size. Do you eat that much? This was a big one for me when I started tracking my food. Before we got married, Katie wanted to do it, so I'm like, let's do it. And it worked. So the first time I did it, I like lost weight and I wasn't even really trying to. Main thing, I used to take these pretzels, these whole wheat pretzel sticks to work with me. And I would just, at least I was packing my lunch, but I'd throw them in a bag, take them with me. And then we started tracking and losing. And I scanned the little thing and then it said, serving size. And I'm like, serving size? 8 pretzel sticks. I've been eating about 19 of these things, right? And so that right there was like, wow, like even though it said whole wheat and this and that, like what am I doing, right? And then taking it down to 8. And then the next step was like, it's 140 calories for that. Well, shoot, I could have a wheelbarrow full of spinach for the same calorie amount, right? So serving size is where you want to start because they can make it look really good depending on the serving size. Step 2, look at the calories. Is it worth it, right? So when we're thinking about, same thing I just talked about, that calorie exchange, like, okay, I could have 200 calories of this or 200 calories of that. What would I rather have? Step 3, look at the ingredients. Did you know that the ingredient label is set up to go from most to least, okay? So the first thing listed on that ingredient label is what is the most thing in that food, okay? And then look at your macros. I'm talking about protein, fat, and carbs, right? So it says to start here, check your calories, limit these nutrients, right? So your fat, your cholesterol, and your sodium, you want those to be low, right? And then did we get enough of course, your vitamins and everything? But I look at protein and I look at carbohydrates. I always like to get the most bang for my buck when it comes protein versus carbs, okay? And don't believe the hype. Things like packed with protein. Is it really? God bless Starbucks, they were selling this protein pack. There was no protein. It was all nuts and crackers and like a couple pieces of cheese. Yeah, like that is not protein pack. Do you know Twizzlers is a low-fat food? Always has been, always will be is what it says on their label. Yeah, it's all sugar. There's no fat in sugar. It will be fat later, right? And eating fat doesn't make you fat, right? A superfood. There's no such thing, guys. There's foods that are good for you, okay? They're mostly green and they're mostly fruits and they mostly come from the earth, right? Naturally, like that Wendy's commercial. They're natural cut French fries. How do you unnaturally cut a French fry? With a laser? Right? Right? Naturally this and that, right? A good source of whatever. Is it really in comparison to what? Right? Or only 20 calories per serving, like I said. Things that are light or reduced calories don't even go down that route. Because if they're taking something out, what are they putting in? Okay, 4 steps to success. Number 1, identify your goal. Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to gain muscle? Do you want to maintain your weight? Do you want to change your body composition? Do you want to prepare for a endurance race? Do you want to step on stage at a bodybuilding show, right? What is your goal? Step 2 then comes down to quality and quantity of food. And I will tell you, most folks don't get past this step, and that's okay, because it makes such a big difference. So what are the calories that we're bringing in, and what's the quality of the food? If all we did was shop in the middle of the store and shop the perimeter and cook most of our meals, we would all see really great results. So from there, we start tracking and making correct food choices. So when I say tracking, that's probably on the next thing, maybe it's not. Tracking in Lose It or MyFitnessPal. And I know it can seem like a burden, but I promise you, if you do it for 1 week, your eyes will be wide open, right? You realize, because we don't realize what we're doing. And it will make you start asking the question, is it worth it? So when you're at the snack machine, or when you're at lunch, at work, and there's, or there's a bowl of Snickers on the receptionist's desk, and all that stuff adds up big time, right? So start tracking and making those food choices and ask, is it worth it? Could I have something else here instead? The next step after that is macronutrients. So how much protein, because calories is step 1, like that's everything. And then where are those calories coming from? How much protein, how many carbs, and how much fat? And then step 4, supplementation and next level stuff. So supplements are awesome when they're used properly and when you actually need them, okay? And then we get questions on keto, paleo, all the O's. Is it necessary? Probably not for most of us. Usually if we just start up here, the whole idea when it comes to nutrition is finding what works for you, what you enjoy, and what is actually sustainable. Because a 30-day juice cleanse is great. Well, no, it's not. For 30 days, but is it sustainable, right? Okay, so step 1, determine your goal. You need to lose weight? Perfect. You need to be in a calorie deficit. What that means is we all have what's called our BMR, our basal metabolic rate, based on how old you are, your height, your weight, or all that, is how many calories you need to maintain your weight, okay? So if you download something like Lose It or MyFitnessPal, or even there's a ton of calorie calculators on the interwebs, you want to set it to lose about 1 pound per week. Now, I know there's a setting on there that says lose half a pound, 1 pound, 1.5 pounds, or 2 pounds, and we're gonna be like, 2 pounds a week, I'm going all in. Okay, take it easy, okay? If we do 1 pound a week, it's gonna be about a 500 calorie deficit per day of under our basal metabolic rate. Now, that is because there's 3,500 calories in a pound. So if we split that over 7 days, that's 500 calories per day. This is a great place to start because you don't want to starve yourself. And what also happens is, so your basal metabolic rate is based off of your weight and everything. So the best way to do this for long-term results is just start by dropping it down by 500 calories. What will happen is you'll start to lose weight and you'll get to a point where your new weight is now the reduced amount of calories that you've been eating. Does that make sense? Right? Like you'll catch up with it. So then you're gonna hit a plateau, which is a good thing, and you're gonna wait until you don't see any change on the scale for at least 2 weeks. And then you're just gonna do it again. You're gonna drop down and see what your new number is and start losing weight again. Versus dropping down 1,000 calories, right? Because if we did 2 pounds a week, that'd be 1,000 calories a day of a deficit. You're gonna be miserable because you're not gonna eat enough food, right? And now you're eating a lot less than we should be. So you're gonna lose weight and you're probably gonna lose it quick, but then you're gonna get to this weird point where now you are eating this many calories, but you still weigh this much and there's no more wiggle room, there's nowhere to drop down from there. So it's a step down approach. Makes sense, right? And that's just talking about calories. And that's just kind of the first step, because then after that, when you hit your plateau off of your calories, then you start looking at your macronutrients, which we're gonna talk about. And what do we want to look for? What kind of protocol do we want to look for here? High protein, lowish fat, low carb. Okay? So the majority of your meals, the first thing you're going to think about is, Okay, where's my protein? Okay, I got eggs for breakfast. Okay, I got my protein shake for my snack. Okay, I got 6 ounces of chicken for my lunch. Okay, I got another protein snack or some Greek yogurt or a shake. Okay, cool. And then for dinner, I'm having that piece of meat and those veggies. Love it, right? And then of course your carbs are going to come in your first 2 meals. And at night, we're going to have that fat. Now, why do we have fat at night? Because we want our hormones and everything to reset overnight. Okay? I said this earlier. 3 most important things in order of importance for weight loss is, number 1, any guesses? Any guesses? Nutrition's number 2.
Set a
Sleep.
goal.
Gee.
Oh.
Number 1, sleep. Write that down. Okay, so don't focus so much on the food and the workout. Sleep, number 1. And when I say sleep, I mean not with the TV on. I mean not looking at a screen for at least 30 minutes before you go to bed, right? There's all these studies now on, your brain processes that stuff all night long. So if you got the news on, this happens. People are stressed out, all-time high. Because they sleep with the TV on, and they got CNN all night, and it's all the horrible things that are going on in the world, and you're listening to that all night long, right? So sleep, nutrition, exercise. And use the correct supplements when it comes to weight loss. A lot of times that's going to be a protein powder, might be a pre-workout, a post-workout, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. Now, do we want to build muscle, gain weight? Awesome. Well, we want to be in a caloric surplus. I will tell you, it is a lot harder to do this than it is to do this. Okay, so we need to eat more food. Okay, we need to eat a lot of food. We need to go high protein, high carb, moderate fat. So now we have carbs at just about every meal, okay, and protein coming out of the gills. And using the correct supplements for that as well can help you get in the extra carbs and the protein. Right, we all think about protein powder. Well, there's also carbohydrate supplements for people that are trying to build muscle. Right, this waxy maize and stuff that you can put in your drinks. Maintenance, cool. We're just looking for a caloric balance, moderate of all 3. You don't have to go high or low on anything, and then you're just in cruise control. And of course, using supplements there too, depending on where you're trying to go or do you need them for your workouts. And when I say supplements, what I always recommend there is that you start with nutrition. Don't overwhelm it. Start with your workouts. Now, are you sore all the time? Okay, add something in. Add in some after workouts, some branched chain amino acids. Did it help your soreness? Cool. But if we start off changing the diet, working out, and loading up on supplements, where are your results coming from, right? You don't want to waste your time and your money on stuff like that. Okay, step 2, we talk about quality and quantity. The best way to see results is to use, I like Lose It. I know there's my MyFitnessPal. I've only ever used Lose It. And use it to track your progress. Okay, it is really easy. You scan everything on the food labels. It plugs in there. You can make recipes. It's simple, right? Then what else are you going to need for your meal prepping? Some Tupperware and a plan, right? Measuring your food. You're going to want a food scale and some measuring cups. And you're going to want some way to track your results. Of course, here we have the body scanner. But are you weighing in? Are you doing measurements? Do you have some kind of tracker so that, and maybe if it's not even, if you're not trying to lose weight, maybe just how are you feeling? Are your clothes fitting different? But some way to stay on track, because I know from experience that when you can see the result and you know what you did to get there, it makes the whole thing worth it versus just kind of shooting in the dark. And then this goes back to, when you're tracking is actually looking at, a serving of oatmeal is half a cup. Well, we're going to measure out a half a cup, not just, well, that looks like about half a cup, right? Step 3, if we get this far, macronutrient recommendations. Now, you use a lot of information out there on this, but I'm going to keep it simple. Okay, I'll start down here because most of us are probably trying to lose body fat. So we know now we started there, we know how many calories we need. We know we need to be a little bit 500 calories underneath that number. Great, we could just start there. Just try to get your calories in, start making some swaps, great. Then when you're ready, we start looking at, okay, now where's my food coming from? So we want, 40 to 50, maybe 60% coming from protein. We want 30 to 40% coming from fat and 10 to 30% coming from carbs. Okay? So, I like looking at these because I think about my plate. What should my plate look like? Right? If we're trying to maintain, should be pretty even between the 3. And of course, if we're trying to bulk up, we're actually going to be really heavy on the carbs. But it's interesting, even when you do this, when you eat the right carbs, you don't get fat. You build a lot of muscle. okay? Because it's still going to be whole foods. And it will range a little bit. That's why we like to put the ranges out there. It will be a little different for people. But if we could just work towards this, it'd be great. Then from there, everybody get that? Perfect. And I always like to put this in there too because, we always talk about changing the body, but we really have to change our mind, right? So I work a lot personally on this with meditation, with self-development stuff, with podcasts and leadership, and a lot of things that really helps me. And we have two options. We can have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, right? That growth mindset says, when we fail, we grow, right? The only way to grow is through pain and adversity. It's the only way, right? I think about this little guy. He's crying because he's growing. It's painful, right? But you got to do it, right? You can say things like, I can learn to do anything I want. Or you could say something like, I'm either good or I'm not. Why do I even try, right? I can't change my abilities, right? Challenges help me grow. So I always, and if any of you ever came in and were maybe not having the best day, I'm always going to try to find a positive spin on it because there's no other way to do it. And if we change our mind, we will change everything. So, mindset and the 80-20 rule. I hit on this a little bit before, but let's dive into it. Now, when you first start out, you have to be disciplined. But I get this, people ask me man, you must be so strict and so disciplined. No, not really. It's just, at first you have to be, right? But that's until you create the habit. So be disciplined at first, sure. Over time, it will create the habit. Only takes, 21 days, 6 weeks, 8 days, 30 days, whatever it is. However long it takes for you to create a habit is how long it takes you, right? When we first start out, one cheat meal, not day, one cheat meal per week. What does this do for us, right? Now, what you don't want to do is what I said earlier is food is a reward, but we need that sometimes, right? As long as we have a healthy relationship with that and with anything in life, it's good. So one cheat meal per week to start off. That's where we're going to start. Okay, I'm tracking my stuff. I know Saturday night we're going out. We're going to go to my favorite restaurant. Here's what's going to happen. Who were we talking to earlier? We were talking to someone earlier about these tortillas. They just started with us, and they had a cheat meal, and they felt horrible afterwards, right? And it's always an interesting experience to go through because you don't realize how bad you were feeling until you start feeling good, or how that meal made you so heavy and slow, and oh my gosh, but you were eating that 7 days a week before, right? So be careful with your cheat meals. Use it as kind of, see where you're at. And a lot of times it takes a few weeks to realize, man, I don't really need that cheat meal. Food is not, we put a lot of emphasis on food and we don't always have to. Then you can turn it into cheat days or even a cheat weekend. But I would say not until you've been solid for 6 to 8 weeks. So what I mean by a cheat day, that means Saturday, and I'm in this mode now. Monday through Friday, we're packing our meals, we're all cooked up. Today, tomorrow, am I still gonna make good choices? Sure, but I'm not thinking a whole lot about it. Today, I know I'm gonna go eat a bunch of smoked meat up at her dad's house and it's gonna be awesome, right? But that's okay. Because Monday I'm gonna get back to it, right? And like I said, this is a journey. Hopefully over time, your relationship with food and yourself will change. You will feel terrible if you eat too much. This does not make you a bad person. You have to have a growth mindset and learn from every decision that you make, right? So the 80-20 rule is what I like to stick to. Give yourself a frickin' break already. Once you're on a roll, stick to your plan Monday through Friday, then give yourself a break over the weekend. As long as you're on track, 80% of the time, you will be just fine. You are not going to lose all your results from missing a workout or having a bad meal. And you're not going to get tremendous results from coming to one workout and eating a salad, right? It's consistency over time. If you want to be strict on yourself, be careful. Don't say things or try not to say things like, I'm never going to blank again. I'm never going to drink again. I'm never going to have that wine. I'm never going to have that ice cream, right? Because you might, right? Depends on where you're at. Or I have to work out 6 days a week and I got to go hard and no days off. That's only going to last so long. Again, you have to fall in love with the process and make it work with you. Now, if you love working out, great. But don't beat yourself up if you work. I was guilty of this, working out too much. And you don't want to beat yourself up over it. I'll be fine tomorrow if I don't work out today. My overall lifestyle is a healthy and active lifestyle, right? Life is about balance. Find what works for you and then work it, right? So, supplementation and next level protocol. So, what is a supplement? Something that completes or enhances something else when added to it. So this is why I say start with your nutrition first and your workouts, and then start considering this. I've tried lots of different supplements. Some were great, some were not. The thing is, you don't always recognize the benefit. Like I was saying before, like how do you do anything in science, right? You add or take away a variable, right? So if we're sticking to the same nutrition in the workouts, and then we add something in, then we can measure the result, right? So I said, focus on nutrition first. Now, recommend supplements for you guys. Number one, protein. Why? Because we usually don't eat enough of it. And it's an easy way to get protein in. Now, when we want protein powders, we want a whey protein or a vegan protein. There's a lot of different types out there, but just like we talked about on our nutrition labels, be able to read most and understand what most of the ingredients are. Sometimes they're this long, and they're going to taste great, and they're going to be creamy, but there's going to be sugar and oils and fats in there that aren't really health related, right? You have pre-workouts. Now, there are different types out there. There are some that have this little tiny scooper, and it'll say something on the front like, get jacked, 3D. You don't need that, okay? That's all stimulant. That is actually really bad for your workouts. There's a lot of them out there. The scoop is this big because it's all like, get focused. That actually, when you have too much stimulant in you, actually causes that stress hormone to be released. You do not want that. Okay. So what you want to think about for a pre-workout is really nutrition. When I say nutrition, you want there to be enough ingredients in there where it is branched chain amino acids and things are going to help you through your workout. Now, a lot of them have, like, some of them will have a stimulant version and an unstimulant. What that means is there'll be caffeine in there. So some have caffeine, some don't. But sometimes we want to feel it, right? This thing called Everyday Fit, we should be sampling this stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
You're okay, you a little busy over there? So, I'm excited.
That's the pre-workout.
Okay, that does not have caffeine. So guys, here, try some of this so you know what I'm talking about. This is a new thing. Everyday Fit, but yeah, pour it down, pass it down. It tastes great. This is like a water enhancer, and it has a lot of things for mental focus and maintaining your appetite, things like that. Branched chain amino acids, BCAAs. Everybody ever heard of these? Okay, so great for after your workout for muscle soreness. Okay, there's a lot of different products out there with BCAAs. And what BCAAs are? They all start with L, like L-lysine, L-tyrosine, L-arginine. There's 7 of them, and when you eat a complete protein, it includes all of them. But it's a great way to get an extra help to rebuild your muscles without eating a whole bunch of food. Then, of course, a good multivitamin. And there are conflicting reports on multivitamins, right? That you don't need them, that your body doesn't digest them. That's true if it isn't a high quality. That's the other thing with supplements. You want to get something that's high quality, because there's no regulation in the supplement world. So when we say, like, be mindful of what it says on the package, especially true when it comes to the supplement world. A good fish oil or krill oil. Now, why do we want a fish oil or a krill oil? Help with inflammation and help us get those essential fatty acids. Okay? And then I also like taking collagen. So collagen helps with all of your joints and your tendons, and it's great stuff. So what you guys are trying is something called, it's actually just interesting timing because we had this planned for the nutrition workshop, and then we have a bunch of supplements coming out from Fit Body Bootcamp, and they're awesome. So the one you're trying is called Everyday Fit.
I'm pretty sure that's a water the light color is the everyday.
Yeah, Everyday Fit. It's awesome.
This is what you drink before you work out or after?
So that's really for any time. It's great. They really designed that for helping people drink more water. 85% of people are dehydrated, so they wanted to come out with something that would help with, and also helps with your appetite. There's a little bit of appetite suppressant in there. There's some branched chain amino acids in there, some things for your focus. So you should notice getting a little more zoned in after you drink that. It's pretty cool. And then we can try the pre-workout too. Sorry, I should have done that before. But I just wanted you guys to try it. So, because a lot of times supplements can be kind of scary. And so I'm really happy that we're coming out with this. And the way that this was born was our CEO was, wanted to have something clean for our clients and to fit into The other thing with supplementation is you want to make sure you have the right supplements for the type of workouts that you're doing, which can be hard to figure out. So the product line like really goes in line with what we do here. So it was,
Yeah, and I would just adding on to that, one of the number one questions I get is about supplements, and something like that pre-workout is something I can easily recommend because I don't usually do pre-workout.
Right.
So it's always super helpful to have that in-house knowledge.
yeah.
Yeah.
And something that we can trust. And that was the thing. They so far they're like over $3 million into the formulations of them, because they said, here's the deal, it can't have any sugar, no artificial anything, and like everything, you can read the ingredients and it's super clean on all of them. So it was just an interesting time that we were planning on doing this, and then when we were at a World Conference, we got chosen to be one of the first locations to carry the line, so we want you guys to try it. But then let's talk about kind of next level stuff. So what I always recommend is if you were on a weight loss journey, every 6 to 8 weeks, you are going to want to bring your calories back up, okay? Does a few things. It's going to help bring your metabolism back up. It's a great little mental break. You want to do this for about 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, just to kind of get back to a new normal, because then when you drop your calories again, you'll be able to lose a lot more weight. Sometimes we go too low calorie for too long, and as I mentioned before, it can actually have a reverse effect on what you're looking to do long term. Carb cycling. Anybody ever hear of carb cycling? Okay, so it's a way to manipulate your carbohydrate intake and helps you drop even more body fat. But again, this is for like after you've done the calories, after you tracked, after you're on your macronutrients, and then you're at a point where you're like, okay, I need to like hit those last 5, 10, 15 pounds, right? So that's where you go. You can either go low carb for 5 or 6 days and have a big refeeding day, or you can do like a 2-1 split. If you guys ever want to know about that, I'd be more than happy to help with it. That's what I did leading up to my show, especially to drop the last couple of pounds. Keto, definitely don't recommend it for beginners. We did a challenge here. It was really successful with everybody because we all did it together and we had like all the information. I did it. I had really good results. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And again, I wanted to try it to kind of, so I knew what I was talking about. But I just don't, it can be tough. Like, you talk about like planning. You really got to plan that one out and make sure that you're hitting your numbers. And there's some, example of a carb cycling thing. So,
Is keto like a long term? It's not for long term.
it should be for long. Yes, it is. Because the minute you eat a carb, you're out.
But I mean, you can't do it forever.
Supposedly you can. So there's no long-term evidence on the benefits or the non-benefits of it. It hasn't been around long enough. There's people that swear by it and other people that say it's the devil himself. So, yes, please.
You were to drink this. Half a cup, a cup, or what?
Oh, it'd be like 8 ounces. Yeah, it's just a sample that you're having.
No, I'm talking, you're supposed to have just an 8 ounce, or can you have less than that?
I mean, you can modify it to your taste level. What matters is, there's a scoop inside of there. So a scoop is a serving. So if you did it with 2 ounces of water, it's going to taste a lot more like whatever the flavor is. If you do it with a gallon of water, it's going to be a little more diluted, but you're still going to get the same amount in your body. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So that was pretty much all I have. I'm more than happy to open up for suggestions or questions. But tools for success. If you're a member here, of course, we have our monthly coaching program. And I cannot stress this enough, team. The people that are taking the 10 minutes to fill out their weekly coaching form, we just want to keep you on track. So like, you can do it if you want, or don't do it if you don't want, but like, that's why we're here. Like, we want to help you. This all came from surveys that we did with everyone saying, hey, we want more help, we want more coaching. That's what we're doing. We even added another section now that has a 1 week, a 30-day, a 60-day, a 6-month, and a 12-month goal. So please fill it out. Katie, myself, and Kim get the responses. We go over it and we reach back out to you on Monday and be like, hey, I saw you saw X, Y, and Z. And even if you didn't have a great week, like, let us know how we can help you stay on track. That's all we're trying to do. Of course, if you want to start tracking your food using Lose It or MyFitnessPal, as far as help from us, you get 2 recipes a week from us. So in your inbox, I send out my weekly newsletter on Monday. There's always a recipe at the bottom of that. And on Friday, you get a recipe as well. So make sure you're using those. I have people that are on our email list that don't come here that email me every week. Like, wow, that was so good. And they're losing weight in Idaho because they follow. I love that. I love that. A book recommendation for you that really hit it home for me was called The Abs Diet. It was a book written by the guys that used to do, or I don't know if they still do, Muscle and Fitness back when magazines were still a thing. I don't know if they still are. Really, it was the first book that I read that like, aha, I got it. Like, they break it down into the different food groups and it was great. And of course, there's tons of info out there. If you need a meal plan, we give them to you when you start with us, but there's also a website we have, fitbodybootcamp.com/meal plans. On there is a calorie calculator that you plug in your weight, your height, it gives you that caloric deficit, it gives you meal plans and grocery lists, easy to do. And of course we do our challenges, we do have the supplement line now, and then of course your friend, my friend, the internet, okay? Bringing all of your questions answered. They might not be the truth, but you can go into a vortex if you like. As far as challenges, we're actually gonna start a new challenge because everybody's been asking after coming off the New Year challenge. We have one starting on the 6th of May, next month. Yeah, so in like a week and a half. We're putting the final touches on. That was actually something that we got out at World Conference. Dude, they laid so much cool stuff on us out there. You're gonna be blown away with what's coming up in the future. And the biggest thing coming off of the New Year challenge, or the biggest question we get, is always about nutrition. So this next challenge is gonna be a 28-day whole foods reset. It is designed based off of the Whole30 plan. And we have some new things in there for accountability that are going to be really exciting. So, if you guys have questions, I'm more than happy to help you out. Is this helpful?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
When are the supplements going to be available for us to?
They are available now. They're in boxes back in my office. So good question. What we're going to start doing is on Saturdays each week, we're going to sample 2. They want us to do is just 2 each week, because we're gonna be like, hey, here's all this stuff. Like, I want you, if you want to buy stuff, buy it. If not, like, but I want you to find stuff and get the education on it. So this actually next Saturday we'll be sampling these 2, the pre-workout and the everyday fit, and then there's a protein. There's 3 different proteins. There's a vegan, and there's 2 wheys. They're great. There's a mixed powdered greens, which are normally gross, but this is a mint apple flavored. It's the first time I ever saw flavored greens. Delicious. And what else is there, Kate? Multivitamin.
Yep.
And then the pre-workout, there's a caffeinated one and an uncaffeinated one. And BCAAs, yeah. A little sweet?
Anybody want some pre-workout?
There is no caffeine in that, so you don't like. And even the caffeinated one only has 125 milligrams.
You like that one better?
There's some pre-workouts that have
You could,
500
if you want
milligrams
more,
of
that
caffeine in it.
Yeah.
So like it's just a nice one.
Like if I were to work out, you know, at 6:45,
Every day night. It's like a water supplement.
before,
Uh-huh.
like is this something that like could be?
Yes, so great
Or 2
question.
more.
Yeah, so Alex brought up a great question. She said if she doesn't eat before a workout, would the pre-workout be okay? Would that kind of be a replacement for a food? Yes and no. Like, of course, food's gonna be great, but I'm glad that you brought that up. So, as I mentioned before, what you don't want is just something that's a stimulant. This is loaded with branched-chain amino acids, which is nutrition, which is something to help you sustain throughout your workout. And the way that they design the pre-workout in particular is to really help with circulation and your focus in your workout. So it's not going to jack you up. Trust me, I've had some where it's like, you know.
Yeah,
And also
I don't
in-
like pre-workout. I didn't before this stuff.
Right. Yeah. And also in great, like, and there's just so many tricks. Like, there's this, if you ever have taken something, even like a fat burner, and you felt like tingly on your skin, or like in your face, the reason for that is they'll put niacin in there, okay? Niacin doesn't have a whole lot of properties when it comes to helping you through a workout. What it is a vasodilator, meaning it makes your right, nurse? It makes your veins open up and the blood flow. So you get like flushed in your face. They put that in there so that you feel like it's working.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's shaky. So we don't have any of that stuff.
Where does stevia fit in?
Good question. So stevia is a natural sweetener, right? It is a leaf. If all of the artificial sweeteners, that is one that I would recommend. It is actually in some of the supplements that, now I'm thinking about it.
It's like on oatmeal, for example, sometimes I'll put some stevia
Yeah.
and cinnamon.
Way better option than
Okay.
sucralose, right? Sucralose, which is your sweet and low and all that. So great question. So what happens when the reason that those artificial sweeteners and low-fat diets and all that stuff, another reason it doesn't work is, or it's bad for you, is when you have like a sweet and low or the 0-calorie sweeteners, your body, your brain, your taste buds does not know the difference between that and real sugar. So when we drink that, you have that same response. Insulin gets released. It's going in, where's the sugar? And it's not there. That is even more stressful on your body when insulin gets released and doesn't go out and grab anything. Stevia is the best option for an artificial, because it's natural, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Good question.
It's not blended, blown up chlorine or anything like that.
Exactly. And then the other question we get sometimes is agave versus honey.
Yeah, it's a lot of sugar though.
Yeah, agave, from everything that I've read and learned, is not a good alternative. Yes.
It sounds natural, but
Right.
it's a lot.
Well, it's the way your body processes. Your body processes it as a very fast digesting sugar. So you're better off with whole honey from good old bees. Save the bees.
Is there like a recipe? I like this personally.
For
Because I have a meal plan, so we give you a meal plan, but
Uh-huh.
I'm like, this is like foreign food, not really foreign, but this is not what I typically cook.
okay.
So for me, I'm having a hard time trying to figure out like how do I make bison, which I've never made before.
Oh yeah. Make a burger out of it. Have you done any of our challenges? No, you need to, girls. Girls give awesome recipe books with that. Yeah. So not in particular.
Okay.
Yes. Uh huh. Uh huh. For how long? How long have you been working out with us and following the meal plan?
1 month.
Okay.
Then after that, now with my another week, and then stay there.
Uh huh. Okay. And have you done a second scan with us? Okay. So that's what we need to do.
Oh, that's how you say.
Yeah, forget the scale. So, prime example, I have someone come in at noon in our personal training program, and she's like, I have to lose weight, okay? Love it. She was with us for a month, and this was just last week, right before we went out to California, and she's like, Tom, I'm about to have a meltdown. And this has happened so many times with you ladies, I love you all, right? About to have a meltdown, the scale's not moving. I'm like, all right, let's do the scan. Now, she's been coming in weight training with us. She's on the nutrition. She's like, I'm following the nutrition plan the whole night. Love it. Let's go. And still to this day, for folks like you, no, it makes me nervous, okay? And I'm like, well, I know like working out and nutrition works. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, is she really following the nutrition? I swear I'm following up and okay, like I want to believe you, right? So let's see what's going on. Before I like cast any doubt, we put her on the scanner, okay? She was down, or she was up 9 pounds of muscle, okay? She was down 10 pounds in body fat, and the difference was in the water and stuff. So she gained 0.3 pounds, okay? But she gained muscle and lost fat. And if we learned from what we looked at before, we want to have that muscle mass. And then her next question was like, she was super excited, like, hey, that's great, but like just because I know, when will I start losing weight? Okay, so let's think about this. So when we do your scan, thank you guys. When we do your scans and we look at your muscle mass, right? If you are under muscled, you don't have enough muscle for your body, which most people are like that when they come in. So if you're not at least 100% at that mid-range of where you should be for your muscle, you have to build that muscle up before your body's gonna start losing fat. I mean, it might lose it, but you wanna build muscle at the same time. So until you get to the point where you have at least 100% muscle or more, right, then your body's gonna kind of like max out and like not like stop building muscle as much, right? But we're still gonna be losing body fat. So that's when the scale will actually change. Does that make sense? So most of the time when we're kind of doing this. We're like building muscle, losing fat, but we're not seeing a difference on the scale. until the muscle kind of stops growing because we have enough of it, then fat will keep going down. Yeah.
Because muscle weighs more than fat.
Muscle weighs the same as fat. A pound of, yes, a pound of anything is a pound of anything, right? What weighs more, a pound of feathers or a pound of hammers? They're the same, right? So, but yes, muscle takes up less room than fat. So let me ask you that, are your clothes fitting differently? Are your clothes fitting differently? Yeah.
And I'm still like staying there. I was like, I was late. They just stay.
Right.
Become high.
So your body's changing all the time, and I would guess when we first did your scan, you didn't have enough muscle. Yeah.
So when I see the things are more like one or two, more or less, like more trending, more keep doing it, right?
Over time, yes. Yeah.
Are you supposed to like eat within 30 minutes of waking up?
Upon waking up? Yeah, depend. So different. Another protocol is called intermittent fasting. Have you heard of this? Where like you go, 12 or 16 hours without eating. Now most of that is going to be overnight. The idea there being your body's going to tap into its body fat and this and that. But to answer your question, what I say is yes. Like don't go too long without eating because you want to get your body. Like I think of it like getting your body fired up, getting that fuel in your body.
So then from the breakfast to the mid snack, 2 to 3 hours?
Yep, 2 to 3 hours is usually a good amount of time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How's it going for you?
Good.
Yeah, good.
My 21 days is up.
Cool.
So I mean, I'm sticking with it, but I haven't done the body scan, the final one.
So we'll send an email out on that. We do it the first full week of the month.
Oh, okay.
And then you'll do it.
I didn't want to do it anymore.
Well, and what I was going to say, you have that on your account. You can use that. You can put it right on the table anytime. So like, I want you to use it when you're like when you're like really excited, like okay, I want to see the results, or when you're like, oh, I'm not sure if anything's changing, right?
I know things are changing.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see them just yet.
Okay,
I
that's
don't want to disappoint myself.
okay. That's fine. Yeah. Just remember, it's all about having that healthy balance. Yeah. Yes. Yes, please.
Granola is good.
What is?
Granola, I eat granola with yogurt.
Granola?
Yeah.
It's okay. Depends on how much sugar and
It's
honey.
like 1 ounce every morning. Because I don't like plain yogurt. So I like to put
Yep.
is it okay? I just eat it.
It depends. I don't know what other ingredients are in that. So if you start tracking and log it and know the brand of it, then you'll be able to tell.
That was my favorite one. I mean, I know symptoms at first an excuse, like there's no way I'm gonna eat before.
Okay, yeah.
But like, I don't feel bad or anything. Is that one of it bad?
And it was very similar.
So I don't know because it depends on your individual body and your energy system. So I would recommend some, if you don't want to eat, then at least some kind of acid, something that's going to help you work. So like the pre-workout would be what I would recommend.
Does this have calories?
No.
No. Yeah, I mean, I wake up sometimes like something's like here. It's like a 10-minute thing, pretty
Right.
much. But okay, I'm not hungry. So
Right.
when I get done with it,
Yeah.
I guess I'll pay more attention if I maybe try this or something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Can I do this as I'm working?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Good question. And now it's baby time. What's up, Karen? Oh, I don't need. That's like 30.
I understand.
$40.
Yeah. Yeah. No. What we said.
Can't hear you, hon.
I'm thinking it's like a free workout.
All right, Aurora. Thank you.
And like if you don't eat,
He's pretty
do
good.
that.
He's pretty.
I'm always going to recommend that you eat breakfast.
So you have to really break that.
So like you need to.
I'm just saying.
That's the other problem with supplements is it's like,
We go there.
it's not a replacement. It's in addition to.
Okay, and I finally see the difference into my Weight Watchers and what you're saying.
Good.
It's the same, but it's what you eat. I got it
You got it now. I love it. Good. I'm glad.
And I think you guys have been members the same amount of time almost.
You got a question?
Just saying, if you hear that like spar.
See you, Lydia.
Bye. Thank you.
So,
But it does have caffeine in it, and it's something before, and it's all the vitamins, it's all the, I've got it.
Thank you.
So when I dig in,
So I like Spark, and what I would say is the Everyday Fit is probably most similar to a Spark. Difference being no artificial.
Yeah, exactly.
No artificial.
Yes.
And no caffeine. And then even the caffeine that they put in the pre-workout is from green tea, which is like the most unstimulant, like. Yeah.
try and move away from my coffee.
Yeah.
It's like such a wake up thing. That's when I wake up. You know, it's set for 4:40, so when I start to smell it,
Oh,
wake
yeah.
up. But I have to have my creamer. And that's the
Have you tried that nut pods creamer?
No.
Yeah,
Just
try that.
because.
Where's that? From Sprouts or Whole Foods?
Started, they bring it to my house.
Oh, nut, like, what is it?
Called nut pods. I seen it. I saw it at Tom Thumb.
Oh, okay.
It's just more.
Not like with, it's like in the coffee aisle, but like on the other side. I guess it's, I don't remember, it's there. But it's from,
We are at City.
like on.
So we're not
Right.
too far.
So and they have,
it's
well, they have some of the natural ones, but they still are all sugary in fact.
Right.
But,
So what I would recommend is like,
We're
doing like an almond milk or something like that.
No, it's a house over, it's like.
Like
That's not
cream.
their coconut cream.
No,
I know it is.
Oils and stuff.
I know.
Creamer.
Yes.
I
South
know.
Carolina.
Yeah. You'd even be
We're
better off
not
with
in
like
the
whole,
golf course neighborhood, we're
like
in the one
cream.
over by the
Like heavy whipping.
park and the.
Or like they have the natural versions, which only have 4 ingredients.
That was the only thing I liked about keto was it was
I
like
know.
all your thoughts were like, oh, shit, no, yes, I want the full fat.
Yeah.
I was wondering if
I was like, I just want to be around
breve-
people and
I didn't know what a breve
humans,
was
you
from
know.
Starbucks. It's like a latte, but with
Whole fat, oh, half and half.
Oh, dude, it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Drinking a milkshake.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah, she and I both have friends,
Exactly.
separate friends that are into keto.
and honestly-
Yeah, I have friends who lost 30 some pounds. But
I know, you
it's not a lifestyle I would want to
Well,
manage.
my thing on that is like,
It worries me about cholesterol.
Well, and I can get,
And that's okay.
most people go there, like, they kind of need, like, they're like, I need like a big change.
Yeah,
really need
exactly,
big goals.
exactly.
I can lose 30 pounds, just eat foods you like.
Right.
So that's what I would rather do, but some people need like an extreme.
Some people like it.
For sure.
Meat. That's what's
Yeah.
funny.
A lot of people just love talking about it.
Yeah.
keto.
Yeah.
I've lost
That's true.
I'm a vegan keto.
Alright, thanks for
Thank you. So, dude.
Enjoy your smoked meat.
Got
Got all the different families.
Yeah.
So we
People
can.
start off tough.